Hi guys, welcome to Basement Supercar Build, the channel where we see if an average guy like me can design and build his own mid-engine car. This video will be a highlights video of the work that was finished this week. If you want to see the actual work take place, watch the full-length video for this week. And with that out of the way, let's get started on this week's video.
Wanted to show you this. This is the shock that came in today. Right here, this gas-powered shock. It is 120 pounds of lift or force. And I rigged up a bracket here that bolted on the back side of the hinge just to test it because the length of the shock is a little bit longer than the other one. The old one mounted here. I cut the mounting tab off and I made this just a mock-up piece here to hold this shock to test it. And when I pull the latch for the door, it raises the door about 5 or 6 inches maybe. And then it pauses, so it's not strong enough to lift it all the way open. And I wouldn't have a problem with that because it does get it past the latch opening far enough that it would release the catch mechanism and allow you to lift it by hand, which with that shock, the weight of the door is very light, so it would be easy to raise by hand. But the problem is pulling it down. When you start pulling this down, it moves pretty easy, but when you get within, I don't know, 8, 10, 12 inches of closing, because of the angle where this is pressing inward, with all of that force trying to push that hinge out, it is really hard to rotate, and it feels like it's a lot of stress on that hinge and door. Not only would it be hard for someone to close, especially a girl, it's kind of hard for me to close, but it's putting a lot of unnecessary force on that hinge and those gears that I don't feel comfortable with. It is a lot of force. It's trying to force the front of the door open as the back is coming in and latching. It's warping the door out of position quite a bit. So this 120 pound shock is not strong enough to do everything that I wanted, but yet again it's too strong, pushing against this hinge, and is it's just going to cause problems with that door opening and closing. It wouldn't last long before something warped or broke. So this isn't going to work, and I'm going to have to find something else. Still looking at hydraulic pumps and cylinders. If I can find something I think will work, I will purchase that and test it, and that may be the way to go, but I just don't know yet. Since I had the linear actuator installed again, I wanted to show you how this worked, how slow it is and noisy it is, but I didn't tape it the first time, and I thought maybe you guys might be interested in seeing this. So let me run this door up and down again. So that is up, and this is down. So obviously going up is lifting more weight and is slower, and going down is a little bit faster. Now I can make both directions faster by going to a 24 volt linear actuator and using a 24 volt power supply, and it increases the speed by half. And I wanted to see this again today because I was looking at hydraulic cylinders like RC excavators and dump trucks. Okay, I have the door on the car. I welded this plate to the beveled gear on the inside at the correct angle. The door is sitting on the 1/2 inch spacer, sitting on the line that I marked. It's clamped into place. I have the lock attach mechanism post here fabricated, and it's put in here with the 1/2 inch spacers on the back of the door, and it's clamped in place ready to weld. The only thing I need to do before I weld it is take some measurements and make sure both doors match. I'll measure and get those seats accurate, and then make sure that the measurements between the doors and the edge of the seat there are the same on both sides before I weld this post here into place. But that is the next thing that we'll be working on. Okay, we have this side to a good stopping point for right now to show you what I've been working on. Of course, I've showed you before, the hinge and the doors completely installed. I have all my spacers in place, and I had this locking post here made. And with the spacers in place, we tack welded it and then removed the spacers and final welded it, so all the welds are in place. And then once that was welded, I put the spacers back in and shut the door just to check the fit. And you can see the space is a 1/2 inch all the way down the back, and I'm sitting on a 1/2 inch spacer here at the bottom. So my space looks good. Door opens and closes, lands right on the spacers as it should. So I was happy that that 1/2 inch space was correct. I came in and installed the support. It's only welded on the top here and the top here. It's too hard to get to these other welds. In the near future, I'm gonna have to remove everything out of the frame and strip it down to the bare frame and roll it over on the side and upside down and make some welds that I just can't reach anymore. There are 3 or 4 different places I'll have to do this. I've just been letting these places accumulate, and I'll take care of them at one time because I don't want to have to strip this down to the frame any more times than I just absolutely have to. It's a lot of work. But that's what we've accomplished. And now I guess it is time to either install and finish fabricating this latch mechanism, the post in the door that works with this latch system, or the door glass and regulator. And I am thinking that probably best to take care of this first to get that exactly in the correct position, because it does move a little, before I start working on the door glass and regulator. So I guess let's take care of that first. Okay, we have our latch mechanism installed and our striking post installed, and show you how this works. As it comes down, it aligns, latches in place, and everything looks like it should work okay once we get our linear actuator installed. And I have ordered a set of linear actuators and a 24-volt power supply for them. The power supply is here. The 2 linear actuators are coming from China, so it's going to be 2 or 3 weeks before they actually show up here to install them. But once they come in, we will get those installed and test those, and I'll show you how those work. And I guess we're at a good stopping point this week. Next week I have a business trip coming up. I won't be working on the car next week. I have to spend a week in Miami, and I guess there's worse places to go on a business trip and spend a week. But there will not be a video next week, and I will see you guys again in 2 weeks, where we'll be working trying to finish up this door.